All right, Sam, let's do a little film review and, of course, connect it to different political and social aspects in life as we like to do. So the movie, you told me to watch it, and not because you thought it was like a
Good.
must-watch movie or a good movie or anything like that, called The Kingsman. No, it's The King's Man, sorry, not The King's Man. The King's Man, and it's a new movie, 2021, action and comedy. And I believe the storyline, I guess, is it takes place starting around early 1900s, going up to World War One, and it's about like World War One and how these. Is it about
It
World War
starts.
One? Yeah, and
Yeah.
I
And
think that's
well,
as
it's about it feels like it's about like it's the origin story. I mean, first of all, a spoiler alerts,
oh yeah, true.
mild spoiler alerts, and then I'm gonna give another spoiler alert for the main twist, which is I don't. Anyway, but yeah, it feels like it
And
felt
it's
to
told
me
from the
like the
perspective. So,
origin. Go ahead. No.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say the main characters are British lords.
Yes.
Just for people to have
Yeah,
a full context.
British lords. Yeah, the main character is Duke of Oxford. Yes, and it feels like the origin story of the deep state, like the Batman Begins of the deep state. It's so weird. It is because it starts. First of all, it's directed by one of. I think you like his works because I think you were a big fan of Kick-Ass, the film.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought
It
that
was a
was
good
good
man.
and
That's
impressive.
why it was.
The fighting scenes, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's I mean I like Matthew One so much. I really like a Stardust, Layer Cake, but this is this is the British reactionaries. I
Mm.
mean, at its at its zenith. Like it was so it was so weirdly reactionary yet trying to grapple with real political stuff. Like it starts with the first like official cases of concentration
In
camps we
South
have in history,
Africa,
which is
right? So and yeah,
in Boer War. Yeah, during the Boer War, the British put the Dutch in the
the
concentration camps.
British put the Dutch in South Africa in concentration camps.
Yes. I
Interesting.
maybe blacks, tribal blacks that cooperated with them too. I don't remember a specific. Yeah, that's the first case of like concentration camp. He's usually referred to. I mean,
Mm.
I'm sure there are earlier versions or whatever. So it starts from there, and the Duke of Oxford guy works for Red Cross, and he's a good guy. Like he's critical of the concentration camp, and then you got a real historical character, William Kitchener,
Mm.
Kitchener. I don't know how you know the guy in the British posters with the mustache.
Yeah.
You sign up, your army needs
Mm.
you, whatever. You know, he's a historical guy, and I don't. You don't care if I spoil it for you, right?
No, I mean I watched half of it at least. I mean, yeah,
Did you get to the point where he dies?
the kid dies.
The
Yeah.
Kitchener, no,
Oh no,
Kitch,
Kitchener, no.
no. Oh, well, he dies as well. Kitchener, that's a real thing as well. He did die in a like when he was traveling on a boat. That was again like there are some like Rasputin. They
Yeah,
cover Rasputin,
he's real,
real
right?
historical figure. Yeah. But he wasn't doing kung fu, and he wasn't feeding opium to the
Yeah,
kid. And then
that
I
was
mean
so funny.
that it's just. By the way, if you're Russian, to a lesser extent German, what the fuck? Like you are like the presentation of World War One is just such a bullshit. Is such a bullshit about the egos of these three cousins, that there is this deep bad, like the main bad guy is the, let's call him the bad deep state. So he's the bad deep state. By the way, this is not a like a big twist, but he's of a Scottish origins, and his whole main like problem with the British Empire is that like they colonized Scotland and took away his family meal from him, and that's problematic on its own because Scotland was not. It wasn't the case. It wasn't the similar case as with Ireland. In fact, it was the Scottish Crown that took over the British Parliament, English Parliament. So it
Interesting.
was they were invited, but so it's. I mean, that's just on its okay. Whatever. Whatever. Yeah. But I get back to why it's really problematic making the guy a Scottish and
Interesting.
about the thing. But that was really like the whole like that guy is pushing is, I mean, the bad guy's plan is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't know.
What
the
was
bad
his
guy.
plan? Because okay, there's like this
It changes.
meeting that they have. He gets what, like one person from like each of the empires, and he
Yes,
gathers them
and
together. So from like the
he's got
Russians, he gets Rasputin. He gets person from
the German
English,
guy is a historical figure as well.
German,
The
and
German guy was actually a Jewish Jewish, what do you call it, like a charlatan,
and
professional
what did he want
charlatan.
them to do?
They were all pushing their leaders, including the Wilhelm, the Kaiser of Germany, and Tsar of Russia. They were pushing them towards war. But then, because they have to abide by history, then suddenly his plan changes that now the war has to come to Britain. I mean, he's a Scottish accent, by the way. I mean, it's kind of plays into the twist at the end, but it's a Scottish accent. I'm from Scotland, and the British Scot, you're shite. It was the most like, okay, we get it, you're Scottish. Like, calm down. Like, the Scottish people, I don't think as a whole speak that Scottish, like, but yeah, it's, yeah. Then his plan changes that the war has to. So because as it's famous that, I mean, that's the World War One, like, it's the Tsar didn't want to stop World War One. Russian soldiers went AWOL. Almost German soldiers went AWOL. There was a revolution in Russia because of the war, and then in Germany there was almost a revolution. So this idea that like the war was, there were these figures like Rasputin, this kung fu master. I mean, the Rasputin thing was, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, I mean, what the? I mean, it was so ridiculous that almost made it good because it was like
but
cartoonish.
It was kind of made for, what it reminded me of. I mean, I feel like it was kind of made, I guess, for what's that movie like about the League of Nations or something? And there's like all these, like, it's an old movie from like 20 years ago.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah. Like all these,
but that's crap too.
Yeah, exactly. It just had the exact same vibe.
No, but Matthew 1 was disappointing, and Ralph, I can never pronounce his family name, Fiennes, I don't know, but he's just, like, in my view, he's probably one of the greatest living actors out there. It was just so, and I love that, like, that's why mixed feeling, the theme of this episode, like, everything in this film was like things I like: the sword fighting, the fencing, the dresses, the Savile Row suits. Like, I was like, I was orgasmic aesthetically, and like content wise, I was like, it was just so mixed.
I feel you a bit there too, because I'm always jealous of like the office space that these like aristocrats like had in like the 1900s and stuff. It's just this awesome room, like everything wooden and brown and shit. And they always hang out just there in that room because that's the little thing. So I was jealous of that. I love that. And the sword fighting scene, there's one in Russia that happens, and that one was really good because of course they went over the board.
Choreography is
there was
fantastic.
Like dancing in it, and the music with it was amazing. I mean, the guy was
the
literally dancing.
Scenes...
That was a fight. That was a fun fight scene.
Yeah, I mean, the fight scenes and the war scenes are all pretty good in my view.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the fact that that's why the movie is so weird, because it does take some radical steps. Like the character that is built up, the son who sees his mother passes away in the beginning of the movie, and is sort of built up as the main character, ends up dying in the middle of the film. And that's I thought that was, I mean, I don't know if you know that, but I feel sometimes for the British people, World War One is even more important than Second World War, and especially because of the senseless death of young people. That's always what's talked about: the senseless death of young people who went and just ran towards the machine guns.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, that was one of I mean, World War II, they probably
crazy.
did it as well, but in World War One, there was people fighting in the trenches and coming out and this.
And they were still like riding with a horse and a sword towards the machine gun. So it was, it was just, the technology had just,
and that's actually a theme in the movie, because they're focused with the knives and the swords, and then there's a lady who's like, who's like, guns are like the future and stuff like that.
You boys are missing. No, but then so the movie takes that weird step of this guy dies in the middle of the movie. The guy you think is the main character dies, but he does like, oh, by the way, the main bad guy is trying to, like, the war is continuing and the British are now involved. The bad guy is keeping the America out because he knows if America comes in, then it's over. Yeah, whatever. Like, Britain won't be destroyed, and the way they are keeping Wilson, the American president, out is through basically they send a spy uh, to what you call it, to seduce him, and then have a tape of him, uh, which I have a tape of him, and then the guy who dies, but he dies, but he plays a crucial role in bringing about they basically they go and fight the guy, and they get the blackmailing whatever video off of him. And now I'm gonna. The main bad guy? You don't see his face, right, throughout the movie, but you do see him. Spoiler alert again, as another character.
Okay.
Can you guess which one it was? I guessed it from the first second.
No, not at all. And I was gonna look it up now, but I didn't want to spoil it.
Do you even remember? Do you know he goes to in the beginning of the movie, he goes to the concentration camp, and there's a soldier that greets him.
Yeah.
And he says that
two soldiers.
The one that is the young one that is William Kitchener's sort of, I don't know, deputy. Like, you know.
I don't remember his face. I didn't recognize him, so I don't think it was an actor I knew.
Oh, he's famous, Matthew Goody. He also was they were in Savile Road. They in the boat. Oh, you didn't watch that part.
No, I didn't get the boat part.
Yeah, well, that guy. I mean, as soon as he said in the very beginning of the movie, that's just remember that. Like, it's a good, like, whenever a director or a writer, there is a throwaway evil line said very quickly. That's like, okay, that's the main bad guy. So because he said, oh, you know, that's how we are winning this war. So, when talking about concentration
I remember
camps,
that.
it was like, yeah, that's how we're winning this war. And I was like, okay, he's a bad guy. Now we know that. But then it's like a Scottish guy turns out to be him. So he's one of the people who's like, he's pushing the British and somebody's pushing the thing and all that. And that's what's so problematic about the whole thing, that he in the beginning he's he's pro concentration camp, but then it turns out his whole problem with the British Empire was the fact that they colonized his family's meal. So where do you stand, man? Are you a fucking fascist? Are you a warmonger?
Well, I guess he is. I guess he's like the typical type of.
He's just evil.
Fascist or evil person, yeah.
In the end they have in the end you find out that he's the bad guy, that he was one of the bad, like, it's so strange. And I guess, by the way, Rasputin and the Jewish charlatan guy, who's a real historical figure who advised Hitler early on in his career, but then got killed off probably by Himmler and other people. There is they have meetings, the bad guys, the bad deep state have meetings, and then there is Rasputin and this guy, an American one, and then after Rasputin dies, guess who takes his place as the Russian spy? Vladimir Lenin.
Oh, really?
And he's like, yeah, you know, you have to continue with the Scottish accent. He's like, you have to continue the work of our other comrade. And they all call themselves comrades. And then Vladimir Lenin is like, yes, now our left hand is strong. Now we have to make our right hand strong as well. And then at the end of when the movie finishes and the credits roll, after the credits, there is this scene where the Jewish guy, the German Jewish guy, that was, you know, he introduces Lenin to a new member of their team, and he says, I introduce our new member of our team, and the new member of our team is Adolf Hitler.
What?
It's exactly. It's just the idea, like, it's such a reactionary way of thinking that the communists and the fascists were working in cooperation with each other to undermine the British Empire and the values of liberal democracy. And then by the end of the film, by the way, the good guys set up this council that this is a prequel to the Kingsman movies. It's a private intelligence agency that is supposed to be above politics and bureaucrats, And by the way, includes the king. That's King George, I think. He becomes part of the council. He becomes Percival, and so it was like the origin story of the deep state. I mean, the parallels were like
Yeah.
unbelievable, because you had the Red Cross, and the deep state always uses charities and stuff. So it was like it was part of the Red Cross and charities and all that. And you also had this idea that the American president, I mean, I want to make fun of the idea that the American president is blackmailed through a video, but now with the whole Jeff Zucker things coming out, and Chris Cuomo apparently cornering people, and all this shit coming out, it's probably plausible in some way, So very weird. I mean, the relationship this movie has, as with history, is the same relationship most people have with the toilet papers in their house. But it was just it was interesting, because it was almost like, yeah, okay, I get, like, that's actually what most people, I think, view history as. They think Lenin was, hanging out with Hitler, and they were setting up shops. And
I mean, these kind of stories this way are easier to understand, I guess, and to sell as like a big narrative. Yeah, like this big bad guy and that bad guy. But the deep state part was like it was really funny, because I mean, I guess there weren't elected officials back then so much. I'm sure there were some. It's in the 1900s. It doesn't take place in the 1500s. However, all the plans are exactly kind of being made by these people who are going behind the back, it seems like,
I mean, the role
of
that
the government and stuff.
I
So
mean,
it's just so these people who are controlling. So yeah, it's kind of showing that I guess it's trying to say like, the deep state started World War I, kind of. And it makes the deep state look bad, but then there's like the good deep state. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there is a counter element. No, but it's so weird. There is no mention of, for example, the Russian Revolution, that like Lenin takes over. As if
no, I think you have very high expectations for these kind of things. I'm not shocked by this storyline whatsoever.
I mean, Matthew 1 was, again, it's one of my aesthetic. I like Layer Cake. I love Layer Cake. I love Stardust. I love Kick-Ass even.
Yeah, but those movies, like when you bring history in,
I don't understand how
it's hard.
Suddenly you become so sloppy when you're dealing with history, and so just it doesn't matter. Let Lenin become a friend with that and that with that.
No, I mean that really sounds ridiculous and cartoonish at that point.
I mean, there is no like the Kaiser and Tsar, they make decisions. There is no provisional governments or cabinets, or I mean, even the British one, the king is making, like, there is no mention of the prime ministers, and by the way, by that time in Britain, king was already a figure, not a figure. I mean, to this day, I think to say queen is a figure is an exaggeration to an extent, but they were already sort of, it was a power balance, it wasn't just king going around. It's so ridiculous. It was just, wow. It was just, yeah, I don't know.
When you take the storyline in that way, it really sounds
ridiculous. Yeah, it was so weirdly, because you had that thing that that criticism that usually comes from the left, that the World War I was a family war or a tribal war, because it was everybody was related through Queen Victoria. They were all cousins and stuff, and it mentions that criticism, but the response to that criticism is like, no, we need a good king. Or it's a very weird movie politically, very weird. Just
and it wasn't bad to watch, and so
it's fun to watch, I must say.
What does the
fencing is good,
and then what does the first opening? I guess the opening scene is only related to the rest of the movie based on the characters, right? Because I mean, that's just what's going on in South Africa there between the English and the Dutch and others, I guess. Then the movie fast forwards to like 15 years later. So that opening scene is just related to the kid and all that. Yeah.
It's setting up the bad guy. It's setting up the
I know. And
guys,
I meant historical
the guy's
connection.
Worry. Yeah, it sets in parts of the evil plot of the bad guy. I don't know how did the Boer War really sort of came into that, but it was really, I mean, I would say Matthew Goody had a lot of fun with the bad guy. Like he did play the bad guy as a genuine like cartoon character. So That was, I mean, that's the thing. Whenever it leaned into the cartoonish stuff, I
Yeah.
liked it. But when it tried to have this sort of, oh, our young men died, and then that with the historical stuff, like either be fun or be a serious one. Like you can't
Yeah.
have it both
I mean,
ways.
it categorizes itself as action comedy, so it's
But
trying
then
to.
too many specific references to real, like, real historical figures and real shit, like the war
Yeah.
and the concentration camps. It's just, it felt odd to me. Again, I did enjoy the fights. I'm not, but
No,
and
no, the
again,
fight
because
scene was.
it was because Matthew won. I was really disappointed, I must say.